Another Australia Day poem. This will tie in a little bit with the Australia Day poems and what Ken was talking about. This is a poem I wrote many years ago, and it's called The Very First. And I long have held the opinion that out of all those convicts that were sent to Australia, there must have been the very first one, mustn't there?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And there must have been the very first judge that sent them. And given that Captain Cook came here in 1770, and 18 years later the English government decided to send out the first fleet, and given the education standards today, I've got a fair, I think it's a fair assumption, the very first convict and the very first judge would probably have had not the slightst idea where they were going or where he was sending him.
I concur.
You concur? Be something like going to the moon.
Absolutely.
They knew nothing. They only knew what Captain Cook had told them 18 years before, and he was dead. But they chose to send the first fleet. 'Twas Paddy O'Rourke, or so goes the talk, was the very first man to be sent to whirl away to Botany Bay to steal the shilling to pay his rent. 'Twas Judge McVeigh, or so they say, sent poor Paddy across the sea, and neither old McVeigh nor Paddy had any idea where that might be. 12 years you shall serve, and not a single moment less. That I most earnestly hope and pray may curb your wickedness. Now you shall be the very first whom I send by royal decree to that place which I believe, please excuse me, Clark, where is that blasted place? What is that name you say? Oh yes, the place I send you now shall be known as Botany Bay. South by west and south again, with the captain sailing order. South by west and south again, towards the world's farthest borders. South and south and south again, across a faintly charted ocean, till there were amongst us those who in panic voiced the notion our captain was insane, or else the sun had touched his mind. For as we sailed on southward, so we left all hope behind. When at last the anchors dropped and the sails were safely filled, they brought us forth from our fettered holes to see our lonely world, and oh, the sight that there did greet us, naught but bush and burning sand, beneath a sky that stretched forever, above an endless land. And as we gazed from that silent deck at our isolation, who amongst us could suspect we were the lifeblood of a nation? For every man who stood there and every mother's daughter saw nothing more than a prison, whose walls were bush and water. Where we were we did not know, nor if we'd lived to leave again. We only knew we had survived, albeit bound in chain. But as we gazed at that awful scene, and in every heart there grew, as we gazed at that awful scene, a determination we would live to see our homelands green. But now, from where it is I sleep, beneath these vast eternal skies, still I hear my companions weep, and I hear their tortured cries. I feel the sting of the lash, I hear the rattle of rusting chain, I see the nation that has grown from our torment and our pain. And to those of you who would judge us still, we who are less than slaves, we would ask you to remember, Australia is built upon our graves. Thank you.